Good morning, well, or afternoon. Hello, and this is episode 3 of Programming 101. Let's program Space Invaders for beginners. Okay, as promised at the end of episode 2, episode 3 will be creating our game. Lovely. Okay, so I've just started Visual Studio 2017 Communion Edition, and we will go to File, New, Project, click on it. The dialog comes up. We will be going down, we won't be creating a classic desktop we did in the last lesson. We'll be creating a XNA Game Studio 4.0 project. So we go through to the middle pane and we will highlight Windows Game 4.0. Okay, then we go down to name, down at the bottom here, like we did before, and we will change that to Space Invaders. Yeah, no, we'll call it Space Invaders. Okay, don't do anything else and just hit OK. Alright, so that will create our project. Lovely, it's all done. Quickly go through what's there. Okay, on this left side is our solution. We'll be using quite a lot. It helps you navigate and put your files in and everything like that. In the solution there are 2 projects. You see Solution, Space Invaders, 2 projects. The first project is our game. It's Space Invaders, and it's basically all the files needed for our game. The second project is content, and it's all the necessary files that we would need for our content, like backdrops, sprite graphics, sounds, anything like that you will put in here. Okay, so content is really just for dropping in your pictures, and then the Space Invaders is your game for for creating Space Invaders. I didn't explain it very well. So you've got game, content. Content, you drop stuff in for creating, and the game is for coding. Lovely. Okay, so we look down here. We look for the CS files, the .cs files, which is C#. Our first one, which we won't be going into, is program.cs. Basically, you see our main function, which everything starts, it generates our new game and runs it. Okay, we will be going to game1.cs. If you highlight that, first things first, we're going to rename it. Game1's not very professional, and we are professionals, so we will right click, go to rename, and then keeping game1 highlighted, type Space Invaders. Yeah, I spelled that correctly, and then hit enter. Okay, and that will bring up this little dialog here. It says you are renaming the file. Would you like to perform a rename in this project of all reference to the code element game1? Yes, we do. Hit yes, and it's done it. Okay, so we'll see game 1 got changed to Space Invaders here, and any reference has been changed. Brilliant. So just to make sure, we will print F5, which is run through the debugger, if you remember from our last lesson, and it should run the game. And we wait. It compiles it first, and then runs through the debugger, and this is it. We have a blue screen, nothing else. You move the mouse pointer in, it's not displayed. You think, why? But we'll come to that. Okay, so this is it. Nothing, just the blue screen. We've got a lot of work to do. So we'll close that, and we're back in the room. Okay, so highlighting our Space Invaders, that's this. I will just go through this. Right. This, all right. First things, namespace. Namespace, I'll keep coming back. Our namespace is Space Invaders. Everything that we do, if we create classes, and I will create a class in a minute, just quickly go through it. Don't be daunted by it. If you've never done one before, just follow, and yeah, and then I'll explain it, and hopefully we'll work our way through it quite quickly. Okay, so this is our namespace, which is Space Invaders, and our class within that is Space Invaders, and it's derived from a XNA framework game. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's got some data elements, and we have a constructor which does some stuff, and then we have some overrides, which the main functions are in here in our game. Well, the overrides will only be using them in here, so this is fine. This is already created for us, so we don't really need to worry. We just have to put code in there, as it will show us. It's quite good, actually. So that's our constructor. I'm using terminologies so we can get used to it. And here's our first override, which is initialize. This is what it does when it first starts up. And you see it's to do, add your initialization logic here. Okay, and then it calls the base initialize, which is in game here. Okay, we'll leave that as is. And we've got load content. This is where we will load all our graphics and sounds and things like that. And it says here, to do. Use this content to load your game content here. Lovely. And then we have unload. This is called when you basically finish the game. It's called other places, but it's basically when you finish. This is just for tidying up. So unload any content, non-content manager content here. Oh, too many contents there. But yeah, anything we load in, we'll make sure we unload it here. Okay. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting. This function here is called update. It's an override update, and it says allow the game to run logic such as updating the world, checking for collisions, gathering input, and playing audio. Fair enough. Okay, we'll be using this before. It's got one parameter, game time, which is a time. And I think that's a class, but we'll go into that before. Okay, and there's a little bit of code already in there, and what that will do, if we have a look, you can see gets game state, player 1, back. So it's a button, but it's basically escape key or a button on your gamepad. But we'll come back to that later. Another important one is the draw. So this is called when the game should draw itself. Okay, so in here we have our draw stuff. And you think, this is everything that we'll do for our game. We'll do the background, we'll do the sprites, we'll do the player, we'll do the bullets, the explosions, will all be drawn here. Brilliant. Hey, look here, look, it says, ignore this. Well, don't ignore it, but this is graphics device clear. So this will clear our surface, which is basically our background, cornflower blue. I'm going to change that. So if you just, at the dot, you've got color, dot, highlight the rest of the cornflower blue, hit del, and then do a dot again, and it brings up a whole list of colors. Now we will go black. Okay, so we hit that as black. So we hit that. So that line is graphic device dot clear, open brackets, color dot black. Brilliant. So let's F5 to run, and it runs, and ooh, it's black background. Lovely. It's our first change. I'm trying to find the mouse pointer. Lovely. Okay, so this is basically it for the game. Not done. All right, as promised, we're going to create a class. This is a sprite class, which will enable us to display a sprite on the screen. Everything will be a sprite as far as we're concerned, maybe apart from the backdrop, but we'll come to that later on. Okay, so first things first, we shall create the sprite class. Okay, it's easy to do. Go to our solutions, and then you've got the solutions here. Highlight Space Invaders, it's our first project. Right click on it, then go down until you come to add, go across, then go down to the bottom until you see class. Okay, and select. Okay, so it's ignore everything else on here. It's this bot at the bottom. What you want to do, you want to change the name. So it's not going to be class 1, so we will name it Sprite. And you see, I'll keep the .cs because it's quite important, and then we'll just hit enter. Okay, and that's generated our sprite. sprite.cs, and you see it's in our project here, sprite.cs. Lovely. Okay, you see the usual things. It's got our using with various system things which we will go into if we need them. That just brings functionality into it. Our namespace, which I mentioned before, which is Space Invaders, which is important because it keeps it all together within the same group. And we got our class Sprite. All right, brilliant. So we're going to do a few changes. What we will do, we will make this public. Okay, this means that our class is, you can use our class anywhere. If we made it private, it means that only within the namespace, Space Invaders, could we use it. But we're going to make everything public with regards to classes. Okay, and we will introduce you to a new command, and it will be hash region. So you do the hash and you type region, and there it is. And every region has an end region, so we'll tab in and we will type end region. Okay, so this just keeps things nice and neat, and you can hide functionality, but everything within the classes I will do in a region. And we're going to have data for that one, and we will highlight it, copy, paste, tidy it up, and we'll go like that, and we'll create a few more groups. So we're going to create another group called properties. I'll explain all of these as we go along, and we will have another group, and we'll call it constructors. Okay, constructors, hope that's spelled right. And then we will do another group and here, and we will call this public functionality. This is just how I do it. I mean, this just means that everything that will go within this region will be public functions. And we'll have another one, surprisingly, we'll call that private functionality. This is it will be functionality that is just private to this class that you can't access out of the class. Sprite. I got there in the end. Bit tongue-tied. Okay, so that's our groups where we're going to put stuff. Firstly, we are going to add an X and Y variable. Okay, so we will, I'm going to do private, just to keep it all nice and consistent. Private and int32, and we are call it going to do M for member and X. Okay, so that is our X, and we are going to make another one. I'll highlight it. We'll call it Y. Notice I am doing the semicolon at the end for the commands. Just follow this as is. So it's private int32 space mx semicolon. Private int32 space my semicolon. Okay, so there are two private variables, and they are x and y for positions. Okay, now we're going to create a property for each of our variables mx and my, and we're going to make that available as an x and y position. Okay, so we will, properties are public, so we'll just make it public, and we will do the int32, and we will call this x in capitals, and then we will hit enter, and then we will do open brackets. It's the brackets, not the square ones, the curly ones, and then we will in the brackets themselves, because it's a property, it has a get and set function. So we will do our get, and I will open the brackets again, and in there I will type what we need. We do, because it's a get, we are going to return our variable, which is mx, okay, and we'll hit the semi-comma because it's at the end of command, and that is our get. I've done it all in one line just for ease of reading, and we need a set. So if I just leave that as is, and we highlight, it's red, it's highlighted as an error, and it says property accessor already defined. We already have a get. So if we just make that a set, and it comes up with an error because we actually have to set mx. Now, when you call a set, it passes a value in. Now that value is surprisingly called value. So we do this. So we type value. It's highlighted blue because that is a key word for the C# language, and that's it, value. Okay, so this is that. Okay, all right, so I'm now in Space Invaders.cs. Okay, so I'm just going to expand on this to something that we understand now. I'm going to add regions where needed. I always do. All right, so end region, brilliant. Okay, and in here we need to create not a bitmap, I apologize, a texture 2D, which is from a bitmap. So go texture 2D, and we will call it sprite list, or sprite sheet, you call it list, sprite sheet texture. Okay, and that's all we need to do. So we've got a texture 2D, all capital T and then capital D. Okay, and we're calling it sprite sheet texture. Okay, now if you remember, we need to go down to load content. If I just get rid of, I don't know where that went. Just get rid of this line. I pressed the wrong key. I'm using my gaming keyboard. I do apologise. I don't know why the keys are going everywhere. Okay, so we want to load our content, or from our content. So we do sprite sprite sheet texture equals, and this one gets a little bit different, but you've got to just copy what I do. So we need to do content because we're loading it from the content manager. So we do content load, which will be that one, and we open our angled brackets, and in here we do texture 2D, and open brackets, okay, normal brackets, braces, and then we need to do the name. So it's this name here minus the .png. So if we click on it twice, and we'll Control C, and then we'll go into our speech marks, and then Control V. Lovely. So that is now loaded. We could quickly check to see if this is loading. Well, actually, if you get it wrong, I'll just put a wrong. Okay, I can't spell, so wrong. Okay, so if we run this, oh, it complains, exception unhandled. That means it's an error, and it says loading this file not found. Okay, brilliant. So if you get that, that means you've spelled something wrong. All right, so let's get out there, and we'll do it correctly, and we'll put a breakpoint there. Okay, F9 for breakpoint, F5 to run. But don't hit it so hard as I do. Just thump down on the key. Okay, so it's got past that line, so that means everything's good. So if I hover over sprite sheet texture, and then we'll click on this little arrow here, or just rest over it, it gives you a rough indication of what it is. The important thing is the height and the width. They are approximately right, because it's quite large, because it's got lots of stuff on it. Okay, brilliant. So that's now all loaded, so we can use that. Lovely jubbly. So what we will do on our we're now going to expand our sprites. So for now, this is going to develop a little bit more, but for ease, we'll make a reference to the sprite texture 2D. I got there in the end, so we'll do texture. Oh, this is going to show you something else as well. 2D, and then do a space, and then we call it a sprite texture. Okay, and we'll leave that, and I'll put a little M, sorry, a little M there, because it keeps it consistent. Oh, an error. Okay, so let me just get rid of normal thing. This is where I said you've looked at, right, so this is an error, so click on it and it says show potential fixes, so click on that and it says using XNA framework graphics. Brilliant, that is the one we want. This is where we want to add an extra using command, and it's basically saying try this, so we'll try that, it will put it at the top and it's there. It's then recognizing that, so that's brilliant. So we're going to have that in there, and we will create a property. You might think it's long-winded and I should just make them public, but this is, I can't see my cursor. It's gone, buddy. It's on the line, but not right. So we'll do, why use properties? Why use properties, Neil? Because it's the correct way of using a class. This is my subtle way of showing you to the, I don't know, the correct approach of handling your class with its internal members and how you access them. I'm not going into nitty-gritty or using terminology that is just bizarre. I would just say that this is a good way of actually accessing your members. So I do a texture 2D, and we're just going to need a set on this because I'm going to do sprite. Do we need to make this? Oh yeah, no, I'll do it. So sprite texture, and we do get in a set. Okay, and we will open the curly brackets and close them, and then we will do a get. And this is return, and it is in sprite texture, and close that command with semicolon, and then we'll do a set, sorry, open the brackets, and we'll do in sprite. I'm doing this quick because I can see it coming up on autocomplete, and that'll be value, so just type val, hit enter. 9 times out of 10 it's correct. So that's that one done. So it's our get and sets. Lovely on that one. Okay, so we can now do a constructor. A constructor is some extra functionality that you can call on the creation of your class. Now this will be more apparent the more we go into it, but trust me on this for now, and when we start using things in earnest, I'll go through the debugger and you can see things working. Okay, so all constructors are public, and I know I'm going to get people complaining about things, but just generally they're public, and all constructors, or the constructors, are the name of the sprite of the class. I think I'm getting my words out right. So the class is sprite, and we need to do a constructor. So we do sprite, and we open up, and it's going to pass some parameters to this constructor, and they will be int 32, have a guess, it's going to be x, and int 32, y, and I'm going to do this one as well. So it's texture 2D, and we call that text. Okay, and open and close the curly brackets. And now we just want to set our local variables. So we'll access the private members. So mx equals px. Lovely. And my equals by. See a little pattern forming here, and then we'll have sprite texture equals p text. Lovely. Just for neatness, you don't have to do this, but I find it easy to read, especially on constructors because they can be quite large. So I'll do this. What I will also do, just to aid you, if this is a function, I will show you comments for functions. Ever easy to do. You press the / 3 times, and on the third time it creates a function. Now that has to be just above the actual function. If I do it 2 lines up, oh, it does work. Ignore that. Above the function, and it works lovely. So in here I'll just put it basic constructor passing in screen position for start, and also the texture, okay, for the sprite. Okay, there, lovely. Well, that's a good introduction, and it looks neat. You can make comments on properties and also other things, and just generally. This is my first thing for a comment, so when we come around to doing a little bit of code, I will comment and I'll just mention as I'm doing it what I'll be doing. Okay, so this is our our actual sprite. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that as is. So I'm going to create a public function, and I'm going to call it draw. Okay, I'm preempting a little bit forward, so just bear with me. So it's public, we'll call it void because it's a function, so it's what's returned. We're not returning anything, so it'll just be a void, and we will call it draw, and we will not pass anything to it. We don't really need to for now. Okay, so in here we do need to do so we need to draw the texture onto the screen. Okay, so we've got that in there, we've got our constructor, and this is all starting. So, okay, so I'll do a comment there, 3 slashes, and we're going to put draws the sprite to the screen. We'll extend upon this when we need to. Lovely. Okay, so alright, so next thing, we need to create our sprite, and we're going to do a special test sprite. So we're going to do sprite and we are going to call it test sprite. Okay. All right. So in our load content, once we've got our texture, we can set up our sprite. So test sprite, sorry. I think I'm doing quite well because I'm dyslexic, so I can't even say it. So yeah, bear with me for little spelling errors. So it's test, all right, test sprite equals, now we're going to create a new sprite. So we do new command, and we do sprite. We'll open it up, and you'll see, oh, basic constructor passing in screen position for start, and also the texture of the sprite. Wow, is that what we just wrote? It is. This is how good Visual Studio 2017 is. It tells you what you need to do. You need X position 100, Y position 100, and the texture, which will be, I'll let you guess. Oh, you're so good. Sprite sheet texture. Lovely. And we'll close that as its function call. Finish the command with a semicolon, and that's that. So that's that loaded. And in here, we won't do update yet because we're just going to sort things out. I'm going to remove this. Oh, wrong key, sorry. Gaming keyboard. Remove that. And there's certain things that we need to do to draw a sprite. We're going to open and close this. Yes, it's our sprite batch, but we need to begin. So this is just, trust me, that we need to begin, and then we need to, because we're going to be using this to display to the screen, sprite batch, and we want an end. Okay, now all our sprite drawing will be in here. So we need to draw. Okay. I am changing my mind a little bit, but for now, what we will do, we will just use the sprite batch, and we will use draw. And we have a look, there's the textures. Lovely. So I'm going to step down. So what have we got here? Rectangles, positions. All right. So what? Yeah, this is how we'll do it. All right. So I will now, because we have our test sprite, I will type this down, and then I will explain what I've just done. Look at this. This is our sprite texture. Okay, and then we want a new rectangle, and we will call that, this is the position. Sorry, need to remind myself to make sure I get the right one. This is our destination rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to do this for now, and then we're going to see, and then we're going to expand upon what we're doing. So what we're going to do, this is where we're going to draw the sprite. And we're going to use the whole texture, so you'll see. And then we will take a small portion of that texture. Okay, so if I quickly do, we're doing a new rectangle. And we'll open it up. And we will pass in 0, 0, and 600. No, we won't. We will make that, because this is the position on the screen, isn't it? 100, 100, and we'll make it 200, 500, 400. Okay, so that's the width and height. The width is 200 and the height is 400. Okay, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do color white. This is things that just a normal texture. Okay, so this is what I've done. I'm using the sprite batch, which allows us to draw to the screen, and I'm using the draw function, and the first parameter, you need a texture 2D, so we can nab that from our test sprite. This function will change, but for now I'm just drawing it to show you in stages. This is our destination rectangle. A rectangle has got a X and a Y for position, and a width and a height. And we're passing them parameters into it, and we're creating a new one. Okay, and then we're using a color white, which means we're not going to add any tint to the texture. It's just going to be the texture as is. Okay, so hopefully this will work, and we will see a load of sprites suddenly on the screen. If not, we will see what was wrong. And we'll run. And we'll run. And yay! Oh, look at that! Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You're saying, wow, Neil, you've got something on the screen. You've got the whole texture on the screen. This is what I was referring to. This is our complete texture, and it's at position 100, 100. It's 200 wide and 400 long. So it goes right down to the bottom of the screen, and it's the whole sprite thing. This is why we need a certain portion of it. Okay, so what we will do, we will get the one of the invaders. No, we're not. We'll get the Space Invaders, and we'll do that in the middle of the screen. Okay, and that will be the end of this third lesson. Okay, so we're just what I'm going to do. I'm going to launch paint.net for any art application that allows you to load a picture and monitor positions. So let me just do paint. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, it's already loaded. Lovely. So if I just, I won't tell you to use this, but you can see I have a transparent background. So what I will want, you see my little mouse pointer here, I'm just gauging it and I'm looking at these coordinates down the bottom. So I'm going to say 0, 168, and that is 412. So it's 412. Hang on a minute. Bring my calculator up. So it's 412 minus 168. It's 244. Okay, so it's 168, 244 is the width, and the height is 178. Okay, lovely. So quickly go back to here, and we are going to rewrite this, but we're going to use a different one. So what I will do is we'll put this in here, comment it out, and we will use this, and then we will step down. And what we want source and destination. This is perfect. All right, so our destination rect. So what we will do, we will try and position this roughly in the right position. So I will make that a new rectangle. Okay, and we will do 100, 100, and we will do 244, 245. And we'll make that 178. Okay, and our source will be new rectangle. I don't know why that's not Oh yeah, it's got it now. New rectangle, and we will go X is 168 and 0, and make that 245 178. So that is our width and height. Okay, and I'll just delete this because we're ending on a colour, hopefully. Let's just try this again. I'm just going to delete this. I want to show you. I know roughly what it is. Right, it's a colour. Alright, so then do colour, and then we'll do white. Lovely. Close brackets, and we'll end it. Lovely. And so that will hopefully look a little bit different. And I'm going to run this. And hey, we have our Space Invaders. So this is our first sprite. Okay, so it's sort of in the right position-ish. Okay, but it's a portion of our sprite sheet, and it's Space Invaders. Lovely. And so right, so that is basically all we're going to be doing today. On lesson 4, we'll expand upon the sprite class, so that we can change the scale, position, and move the sprite around the screen. So that is going to be very, very cool. I hope to, at the end of lesson 4, have invaders going left and right on the screen, not necessarily up and down, but left and right. Maybe 2 or 3 invaders. So it becomes a little bit tricky because you you need some way of managing the invaders, so you can't just have a whole list of sprites. You need a manager class that manages it, but we'll go through that, or controller class. And sounds complicated. It's not. It's all very exciting. But what have we done? We have this up. Excellent. All right then. Well, savor the moment. We are slowly getting there. Episode 4 is going to be very exciting. And yeah, it's it's just showing you that it can be quite easy, and I think this is a good way to learn. Chuck in the deep end, watch me muddle my way through it, and then you can look at the code at your leisure, and yeah, and then just see what's going on, have a play with it, change some stuff yourself. If you've got an error, 9 times out of 10, if you copy the line in again, you will have it and it will work. Okay, like I say, any problems, just email me, and I will put my email in this description. I didn't on my last one of the video, and I will also put a link to the sprite sheet on the in the description as well. Okay, a little bit tongue-tied, not very well. Do feel sorry for me. And yeah, feedback. I love some feedback on this. I don't think many people will be looking at it, but I'm hoping as we progress more and more into it, that at least if one person gets the enjoyment out of this and actually can say at the end of it, thank you, Neil, I've written a game, well, with your help, written a game, and yeah, I understand it a little bit more. You get a real lot of satisfaction out of writing something. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. And Space Invaders is an easy game to write, but when you think about it, not really. We'll go into that more, and you'll understand more in the next episode. I won't try to put you off, but yeah, there's some things you might gonna have to just go with the flow and then try and get to grips with before episode 5. But yeah, don't be put off. It's becoming to more exciting bit. So we've achieved a lot, and we have stuff on the screen, and it's all looking good. Brilliant. Yeah, have a great evening, morning or afternoon, and catch you next time. Thank you very much.